Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here once again, of course, with geography. Now, on to Panama. Panama. Uh, Panama Canal. I know where you guys are located and all that fun stuff. Other than those things, don't really know a whole lot. Kind of know some about your neighbors, because I've done, your neighbors kind of. Yeah, let's jump into it. Before we do, please hit that like and subscribe button. That'd help me out a lot. Thank you. And yeah, we're jumping into this, guys. Panama. Cool name. Dun, dun, dun. Low here. Three, two, one, bam.
In the Latin American world, Panama is kind of like...
Come on, Panama.
Come on. Yeah, what?
Come on,
What?
it's a Central American mixer. Come on, join the fun. I mean, what are you doing back there by yourself?
Oh yeah, no, I'm good. I'm like not one of you. Come on, Costa Rica, you're the cool one. Let's ditch this joint.
But I'm kind of one of them. Desgraciado. Estoy embarazada. Eres el padre. No lo creo.
Buena suerte.
¿Por qué?
And that's basically it. I mean, without the gin martinis.
Okay.
I live by a bunch of Guatemalans. I've never seen them go for that stuff.
I'm lost already.
Geography.
Now! Hey everyone, I'm your host Barbs. Panama, the country that links the north and south, the gateway between two worlds and two oceans. This little sliver of land has and still plays such a powerful role in the entire Western Hemisphere. Not bad. Now let's find it on the map now, shall we?
Easy. Right there.
Panama has a saying for itself, Punto del Mundo, Corazón del Universo, or Bridge of the World, Heart of the Universe. And with good reason. First of all, Panama is the narrow isthmus that joins the North and Southern American continents, attached to the very end of Costa Rica and on top of Colombia, straddling the Caribbean Sea and Atlantic Ocean to the east and the Pacific to the west. Because of its curved shape, this makes Panama the only place in the world where you can see both a sunrise on the Pacific and a sunset on the Atlantic. At its narrowest point, the country is only about 30 miles or 48 kilometers wide. The country is divided, interestingly, into 10 provinces, 3 indigenous regions, and 2 indigenous municipalities within 2 of the provinces. We'll talk more about this in a bit. Off their coast, they have about 1,500 islands, including the largest island in Central America, Coiba Island, just off the southwest coast. The capital of Panama is Panama City, of course, where about half the population lives and holds the largest airport, Tucumán International, just on the eastern outskirts of the city. The second largest airport would be the Bocas del Toro Airport on the popular resort island. Otherwise, the remaining airports are mostly just small regional airstrips. Nonetheless, much of Panama's economy is based on the famous Panama Canal, built by the Americans for shipping and passenger vessels. The largest ports, of course, being the port of Balboa in Panama City, which connects via canal all the way to the port of Colón in the north side of the country. Along the entire canal runs the Panama Canal Railway, the second most vital transport line after the canal, again built by the Americans, predating the canal by about half a century. Otherwise, Panama is kind of where the famous Pan-American Highway gets cut off. People trying to travel the world's longest motorable road to Colombia will have no luck, as this entire area of marshy forest known as the Darien Gap is where all the roads for about 60 miles or 100 kilometers cuts off. The dense forest area in itself kind of acts as like the border with Colombia, as no demarcation line is drawn. The furthest you can go is the town of Yaviza,
Yep.
and from there, good luck. Most people just take a boat off the coast.
Yeah, I've already done Colombia, so definitely check that out. So I definitely know a lot about the Darien Gap, and it just doesn't make, I guess, doesn't make any sense to make the money, I guess, the rainforest and I guess like the cartels that live in there. Yeah, there's a bunch of issues of why they're not doing it. Just doesn't seem like, worth the trouble, I guess, kind of to make a road all the way through. But it would be really cool. Maybe one day they will, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. Anyways.
You can go is the town of Yaviza, and from there, good luck. Most people just take a boat off the coast to Colombia. 2 interesting things to note. The American Society of Civil Engineers has named the canal as one of the modern 7 wonders of the world. The canal was actually once considered U.S. territory and finally relinquished in 1999. Also, Panama is the second largest duty-free zone in the world after Hong Kong, so that's a thing. Oh, and at one point, the Scottish tried to colonize Panama, but they grossly miscalculated the size of the mountains and the heat. Anyway, I asked some of you guys, the Panamanian geography peeps, to list some of the top notable sites to check out in case if you visit. Some of them include places like the Casco Viejo and San Jose Church Gold Altar, the Panama Canal Museum, Cinto Costera, Boquete Town supposedly has the best coffee,
Nice.
the Biodiversity Museum, the Coiba and Sabaco Islands,
second.
Anton Valley Hot Spring,
Let's see that museum for a second.
the Biodiversity
Man, when it comes to buildings, I've always noticed that museums have like the coolest, craziest like buildings. Don't you ever notice that? Like I've noticed that, through all these videos, like they got some cool buildings. Like this looks like, I don't know, almost, don't take this the wrong way, like a toy, something, like a bunch of like Legos kind of like put together there kind of thing. It's cool. It's cool and stuff. I just love how, museums are always having these standout buildings. They're not just like, the regular like brick buildings, so that's cool. I mean, some are, right? But anyways, I like your museum, guys.
University Museum, the Coiba and Sabaco Islands, Anton Valley Hot Springs, the Embera Indigenous Villages, Fort San Lorenzo, Plaza
Whoa.
del Francia Causeway, Plastic
Nice.
Bottle Village, and the Seafood
What?
Market. So that just about does it. Of course, we could have mentioned a lot of other crazy, amazing waterfalls and forests that they have here. Hey, they even have a forest with square-shaped tree trunks. But that's the natural beauty, which means we gotta move on to...
Hold on a second. Let me, so how do you get square trees? I don't know. Maybe they're square seeds. I don't know, but that's pretty cool. It is definitely pretty cool. Like you don't even have to like shape the trunk to build a house, It's already a square for you, so it makes it a lot easier.
Panama is one of those countries that just kind of respects nature, They got a good thing going on, so why try to taint it? First of all, the country is actually located in its own mini tectonic plate known as the Panama Plate, smashed in between the Cocos, Nazca, and Caribbean plates. This in return subjects Panama to occasional earthquakes, but not much volcanic activity. The tallest peak in the country is actually a volcano, Volcan Baru, but it has not erupted in hundreds of years. It is part of the Tebasara
That's
mountain
good.
chain, the longest in the country, and on the east side you find the San Blas, Sapo, and Darien mountain chains, which extend all the way to Colombia. Otherwise, just a small skip east, you can find the largest lake, the man-made artificial lake Gatun, created by the Gatun Dam on the Chagres River. This lake, of course, assists the transporting of ships along the canal across the country. A skip further east, you find the longest river, though, the Chucunaque, which flows south into the unknown thick forests of the Darien Gap. Otherwise, the country has three main gulfs, the Mosquito Gulf in the north, and the Azuero Peninsula splits off the Gulf of Chiriqui and the Gulf of Panama from each other, effectively making the country look like the shape of a limp hammer. Now, of course, the abundance of nature and landforms gives Panama much more of an advantage than just the canal. And with that, it's time for my triple shot espresso break, which means it's time for Noah.
Let's do it, shall we? Panama has in recent decades seen a massive construction and business boom, with a huge expat community moving in. They had 12 of the 15 tallest skyscrapers in Latin America.
I still have the tallest one, though.
For now.
Anyway, not only are they one of the fastest growing economies in Latin America, they are an incredibly popular spot for retirees. This is one of the reasons why you don't see too many Panamanians leaving their country. There's kind of more stability and opportunity available in contrast to some of their neighbors. Most of the economic activity in Panama, at about 80%, is based in the service sector, and the canal alone provides a significant portion, mostly through tolls. I almost said trolls. Tolls are based on size, cargo, and type of vessel crossing. And the most ever paid was over $376,000 from a Norwegian cruise ship. Agriculture only makes up about 7% of their GDP, with crops like coffee, bananas, sugarcane, and coconuts. The country has about 1,000 bird species, including the national animal, the harpy eagle, as well as hundreds of mammal species ranging from giant anteater to sloth. Over a third of Panama is natural park, which helps assist these animals from going endangered. There's even a cool turtle sanctuary run by this guy. And to top it all off, they have about 9 months of rain, which is why building that canal was so difficult. It kept getting flooded and people died. Anyway, food! Some of the top dishes.
I'm just curious, how long does it take like a boat from like start to finish to get through the canal? Like, I'm always curious about that, because I know it takes forever to, that's why they built the canal, because it takes forever to go all the way down south and around and all that fun stuff. So I'm just always curious how long it takes. Like, just like a day, or a little longer than that. I don't know. We're gonna get to the food here, the yummy stuff.
It kept getting flooded and people died. Anyway, food! Some of the top dishes you guys, the Panamanian jogger peeps, suggested we mention include things like pollo, carne maniola, Panamanian-style thick tortillas, ropa vieja, bien me sabe, fried fish like pargo frito
Yummy.
with patacones, sauce? Sauce. You guys ever seen Epic Mealtime? They would do that like, we got some sauce. And the national dish, sancocho. If you look close, you can tell some of these dishes have a somewhat Caribbean flair. And that's where the story gets interesting, because now we talk about the people.
The people, demographics, guys. Here we go. My God. Stir it. There you go. All right.
Parents are quick to protect.
Raid!
Just like Raid, Ant, and Roach.
In
Demographics.
Thank you, Noah. Now, Panama sticks out from the rest of Latin America because it doesn't really quite belong or identify with either Central America or South America. They never were part of the Federated States of Central America, and they fought to break away from Colombia back when it was Gran Colombia. So it's like they wanted space from everyone. In any case, the country is made up of about 4 million people and is the least populated nation in Central America. About 65% of the population is mestizo, that's mixed with native and European to some extent. About 13% of the population is native Amerindian, the largest groups being the Ngabe, Kuna, and Embera. About 16% of the population is black or mixed black, and the remainder at about 6% are white Panamanians. They use the US dollar but Balboa coins as their currency. They use the American type A and B plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Now, if you noticed in the political section, we mentioned how the country has 3 indigenous regions and 2 indigenous municipalities. These areas are designated for the native population of Panama, which has one of the highest percentages of Amerindians per population in the Americas after Bolivia and Guatemala. These groups still live in traditional communities to varying degrees of modernization. Of course, Spanish is the official language. Panamanians, though, do have their own distinct dialect. For example, here are some of you guys, the Panamanian geographers explaining.
Hello everyone, my name is Alma. Here in Panama, people likes to mix English with Spanish. For example, que sopa, like que sopa Miguelito, que sopa Maria.
They also use many English words today, like friend or pretty. So you could say, hey friend, ¿qué sopa? ¿Cómo así que rompiste con la novia?
Some people said when you are pretty dressed, you are chaneado.
There are also many expressions that describe sadness or disappointment. For example, ay la vida or chuzo.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. However, like Costa Rica, it is not uncommon to hear English spoken, especially by the younger people and people in the cities. Panama is one of the most English proficient countries in Latin America. And it all kind of has to do with the fact that the US kind of, well, yeah.
Oh, wouldn't it be great if we could build a canal? Come on, come on! Maybe later.
I tried to give it a go, but it's not possible. The mountains are too tall and the rain too much.
I'll give it a go.
Too many people have died and the rain keeps messing it up. I'm abandoning this gig.
Okay, Panama, you're part of our country now.
Can we finally build that canal?
Most likely not.
Are you kidding me? Hey, Panama, USA here. Bam! 1903. Now, I just ask that you give me the rights to the canal in a sovereign zone. We'll split the profits.
Did you just, forcibly ask me out on a date?
Yeah, I do that all the time. But, we'll break up in a few decades, and in the end, you'll thank me.
And that's basically how Panama started speaking English better. Otherwise, what does it mean to be Panamanian? Well, that question comes from a lot of backstory, because even for a small population, Panama is an incredibly diverse nation. And the quickest way I can summarize it, they have the Hispanic, the Black, and the Amerindian groups that all dominate the culture. And to give you a quick rundown, here's Hannah with culture stuff.
Hannah.
I need to get out.
Just take a deep breath.
M&M's mix. Sorry, I lost these today.
Powerful devices need powerful internet. Go full speed with Extreme Internet, starting at $19.99.
You're still here?
Marriage.
I guess we're doing this together again. Within Panama, the Black and mixed Black communities are descendants from either slaves brought over from the 16th century or Afro-Antilleans that immigrated from places like Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad to work on the rail lines back in the 1840s.
Since then, they've played an important role in society and have brought much to the Panamanian identity through things like music and art. Many have become famous figures, including Princess Angela of Liechtenstein.
The indigenous community is made up of many groups and tribes, but about half of them are comprised of these two groups.
The Kuna and Embera Wunan are very famous peoples that gets lots of attention as well for their colorful textiles and rituals.
Most of these people live in the 3 indigenous regions or 2 indigenous municipalities. They have their own languages, housing, and lifestyles set apart from the rest of Panama's westernized society.
If you're lucky, you might be able to witness a Nuchucana healing ritual with wooden figurines for the Kuna people.
And tauga nut, or vegetable ivory carvings by the Embera people, are highly prized, as it is a sustainable and safe substitute for ivory.
The Nabe people have a game called Balseria, which is technically outlawed by the government, but it involves throwing sticks at your opponent's legs until they give up.
Ouch. Quick side note, the Panama hat was not invented in Panama.
What? Is that really a thing? Like, someone stands 20 yards away and you just, you take turns, or you start hauling sticks and you can't move your legs or something? Man, I can just see some people that have a lot of broken legs doing that. And if you missed, then you probably killed the person, knocking them out. It's probably not that bad, right? Anyways. That'd be fun to watch. I wouldn't want to play that game, but seems like a pretty crazy game. It might be fun to watch. Maybe.
Legs until they give up.
Ow.
I only said maybe because I don't want to see anyone die. Sorry.
By the government, but it involves throwing sticks at your opponent's legs until they give up.
Ouch. Quick side note, the Panama hat was not invented in Panama, but rather Ecuador.
Baseball is their favorite sport. However, soccer, or football, has always been number 2, and in fact, they were so happy, it was kind of like,
Hey, congrats, Panama. You made it to FIFA.
Yeah, I did. I owe you, man. You kind of helped me get there. I should probably give you my Chiriqui province in gratitude.
Well, actually, I could always use...
Yeah, not gonna happen.
And it is said that out of the whole year, only about 30 days do not have some kind of national festivity, depending on the province.
yeah, Panamanians love partying with music, which brings us to Keith's music segment.
Ugh,
What is wrong with Keith?
everything.
Although you can find all genres in Panama, it's interesting to see how they've fused everything together from all their people groups. For one, a Caribbean undertone will always kind of be around. Reggae, salsa, ska, calypso, and dancehall have all been around since the 20th century, although cumbia and salsa have always been their go-tos, with this dude being probably the most famous Panamanian salsa musician. Nonetheless, folk music known as típico is always a go-to with notable artists like these guys. And the tamborito dance with costumes can always be seen, especially at festivals. Although reggaeton is said to have been invented in Puerto Rico, reggae in Espanol, or Spanish reggae, originated in Panama, which is seen by many as a precursor to reggaeton, with leading artists like these guys.
I didn't know that.
Thanks, I'm Keith.
Thanks, Keith. All right, and that means
Thanks,
we gotta
Keith.
round off this section like we always do with extremely condensed history and famous people. Amerindians, colonization, independence from Spain, joined Gran Colombia, French failed to build a canal, American forces came in and stopped the Colombian forces from stopping the Panamanian revolt. Independence, canal is finally built. Couple conflicts with the Americans after they built the canal. Torrijos and Carter agreed to leave the canal. President Torrijos died in a plane crash. Noriega dictatorship. Guillermo Andara wins the elections, but Noriega was kind of like not accepting it. U.S. invasion to remove Noriega, fair democratically elected presidents, rise of the economy, and here we are today. Some famous people you guys, the Panamanian geography...
Maybe I missed it, but does America still get like a cut from the canal? Since they helped build it, or was it one of those things where after a certain amount of time, they just stopped getting their cut, and it was all Panama's. I must have missed that. I don't know.
Rise of the economy, and here we are today. Some famous people you guys, the Panamanian geography suggested we mention include Justine Pasek, you Miss Universe 2002. All these athletes, so many of them. All these musicians, there's a lot of them. Zonians, or Americans that were born in the Panama Canal Zone back when it was U.S. territory, include people like Jordana Brewster, John McCain, Hulk Hogan, yeah, even Hulk Hogan, and Lori Hearing, a ton of writers like these people, and of course the list of famous politicians goes on and on, like all these people. And there's so much more we could have mentioned or expounded upon, but we don't really have a lot of time, so if I miss anything, you guys let us know in the comments. Otherwise, we gotta finish off this episode with...
Bam.
So as you can probably tell by now, Panama is in a rather unique position diplomacy-wise. Many Latin American...
So I'm going with America as number one friend.
So as you can probably tell by now, Panama is in a rather unique position diplomacy-wise. Many Latin Americans kind of see them as the one that got influenced by Americans, and the fast-growing with skyscrapers one, or the, I don't quite know what to make of them, but I guess I trust them kind of guy. As a nation linking 2 continents plus having Caribbean ties, Panama has a wide range of people on their guest list. For one, many people in the black community have ties to the Caribbean islands like Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago, as their ancestors moved from these nations in the 19th century and played an important role in the construction of the canal. Today, many still have family and travel to these places as well. As the former colonizer, Spain still holds close ties, and many Spanish people love to visit or move or retire to Panama with its relatively easygoing, chill atmosphere. The USA has an interesting back and forth love and hate relationship. On a social, political, and economic scale, they've played an integral part in developing much of what is now Panama through not only occupying the canal for nearly a century, but building up the infrastructure and things like roadways and rail lines. The Noriega thing made things kind of messy, and Americans always kind of intervene whether or not the Panamanians feel like they need them or not. Nonetheless, Americans love retiring to Panama. It's relatively easy for them with the growing English proficiency and shared currency, and many Panamanians have family in the US as well. For their closest friends though, most Panamanians I have talked to have said either Costa Rica or Colombia. For one, Colombia shares a lot of history. At one point, they voluntarily joined Colombia and became a department under Gran Colombia, even though they broke apart and still kept close ties. Both nations.
Those would be my. That was gonna be my second guess. I don't know why I went with America, just because they built a canal. Duh, obviously not. I mean, usually their people's neighbors are number one, but my bad. They put so much emphasis with it on America, so I was like, it's gotta be America, right? Nope.
And became a department under Gran Colombia, even though they broke apart and still kept close ties. Both nations love visiting and moving to each other's nations, marrying one another. They love Colombian telenovelas, culture, and food. Out of everyone in Central America, though, Costa Rica is probably their best friend. Costa Rica keeps everything neutral and plays it safe. Panama likes that. There's really no drama, and whenever they need someone to back them up, Costa Rica will always be there for them. In conclusion, Panama truly embodies the bridge between two worlds. It's diverse, it's fast-growing, kind of English-speaking, and it's a Latin American country with a somewhat Singapore-esque vibe to it. Let's see where the bridge leads to in the future. Stay tuned. Papua New Guinea is coming up next.
I definitely think there's some cool, interesting things. I'm gonna go down in Panama. I think they got like, I don't know, got a lot going on. I guess. I mean, they got the American influence, but they got the Central American kind of vibe going on, and they basically seem to got the mixture of the two, and like they said, they got out of all like the Central American countries, they seem like they said it, not me, the ones with the one that got more of the act together. They didn't really mention anything about like, I don't know, cartels or drama or anything going on there. Like I had like they've mentioned a few of the other countries, as far as like wars and stuff. They really didn't mention anything like that here, so they did nothing like that in the past to kind of hold them back or stop their progress in the future. So definitely think things are going well there, and I can't really see anything else stop them from getting even better. So good job, Panama. You guys are pretty awesome. One day there's that roadway, that's it's to get to the Darien Gap, and I think that might even bring even more tourism just for people that just want to drive just for a drive, and they'll drive their way through the Panama. So anyways, please hit that like and subscribe button below. Another awesome country, Panama, and then we're on to, what are we on to next, guys? You don't know, but we're going to find out in a second. But dun, dun, dun. Papua New Guinea, you're next. And yeah, awesome. If you're interested, I got other cool history videos like wars, stuff like that. So definitely check out the playlist. Please and thank you. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in future videos. Always a blast doing this and learning new stuff. And yeah, just checking out new countries. So anyways, guys, have a good night, good day. Peace. I am out of here.